For today. We're talking to Minister KWalker and Minister Terrell Packard, both with a lot of information in reference to gun violence, which is our topic for the morning. And Mr. Packard, let's see if we can start with you and to have you to give us some information. When you think of the term that we use, gun violence in the state of Tennessee, bringing in all of your experiences from where you've been, how do you see that?
I see gun violence in the state of Tennessee. First of all, it's run rampant. It's vital. We have a lot of children running around with guns and using guns. And it's not actually the gun that's the problem, it's the person with the gun. I believe that you should be guns shouldn't be in the hands of everybody. And because there's so many children around with guns that come from broken homes, broken families, no structure, they're turning their attention to what gives them attention. And what gives the youth attention that comes from broken homes and a perverted society is the streets. There's a lack of education, there's a lack of love in the communities. You know, when I grew up, even though I was a participant of gang violence, our communities reach out to the children. They reach out to the young youth. There was times where I remember as a young adult coming up in the neighborhoods that I come from, that if I was doing something wrong, not only would I get chastised by my neighbor, but I also would get chastised by my parent when I got home. Well, that's been taken out of the communities. And we have so many people now that are in the communities that are not paying attention to actually what's going on. They're not paying attention because they're so preoccupied with other things, such as work, such as lack of finances, lack of stability. And you know, when you talk about gun violence, you're talking about an age of people that are running around with guns and they're using guns not knowing what they're actually doing. And so they're lashing out, and the only way that they know to lash out, which is chaos and confusion, because that's what they're used to living amongst their homes.
Well, well, how, Pastor Walker, how can we stop the kind of violence that Minister Terrell Packard is talking about?
Well, Dr. Haynes, I think it's going to be difficult to just absolutely stop it. He alluded to education as being one of the issues that we're facing. That's somewhere, I don't know when it actually happened, but there was a breakdown in moral teachings. There was a breakdown in teaching our children how to deal with conflict, how to resolve issues when you have issues. You know, when I was coming up, you know, I came up in a time as well, you know, where, you know, we fought with our fists. I was one of those guys that always had a pocket knife, and from there I had a gun when I was young age, you know, and actually used it at a young age. But the thing is, I was taught the right way. I mean, I veered off, and the majority of the teaching was the right type of teaching. Parents were actually teaching their kids, you know, how to get along, you know, and we could fight, you know, we can have a fist fight, man, and then the next day we're okay, we're all right. So I think what's happening now, one of the biggest issues that we're facing with gun violence, you take Chicago, I think it's like 560 deaths, gun violence deaths, I believe it was, deaths related to guns in Chicago in the year of 2012, and I think it has a lot to do with economics in the especially in the African American community. It deals with economics because people are out there, they're hustling, they're gang banging. It's about money. You know, it's about, I'm making my money, this is my turf, this is where I make my money, you can't come over here and make money on my turf. And then there's a fear element, I believe, that's involved too. Somebody feels threatened by another individual, and the only recourse that they feel like they have is to go and kill that individual, or how they say on the wheel, I'm gonna go smoking, you know, on the street. So, and because of that fear, the fear that I have of you hurting me is gonna cause me to get you first. It's not because I'm just this cold-blooded killer. It's just that
It's
I'm
either
afraid.
kill or be killed.
Yeah.
Is that the attitude?
Yeah, it's either I'm going to kill you or I'm going to wait until you kill me. And then, you know, and then it's also this thing factors in about, you know, I got, you know, get this reputation and stuff like that about, you know, I'm hard, I'm cold, you know, I'm tough, you know, and stuff like that. You know, I'm earning my stripes or what have you in the ranks of the gang and all of that. So it's a hard situation to determine how to exactly stop it, but I think it begins with education. I think that, and what we're going to be doing with the Hands of God Guardian Angels Ministries is we're going to be developing a program where we actually can take young mothers and their children and actually train them to train their children as well to deal with certain issues and things like that, and try to pull them out of that situation through an educational process, because I think that's what's lacking in a lot of situations, is the fact that people are not being educated properly as to how to deal with conflict. You know, people think, there's a thought process, Dr. Haynes, says, you know, if you step to me, I'm stepping to you, and not realizing that if I walk off, that doesn't mean I'm weak. See, I can walk off from an individual now, whereas in the past, I had to do something to you if you step to me. But today, I know I display more strength in walking away from you than I ever would in challenging and confronting you in a violent way.
And we've got about 1 minute and 45 seconds during this segment, Mr. Packard. But let's look at, when we come back, let's look at what we might consider, and I think you mentioned it, the economics of it, which is to say that is it possible that perhaps some of these gangbangers, as you call them, had a job to go to every day? You see, some kind of secure income in a real sense. Would they be out gang banging and kind of things? Of course, I think you would say, knowing you, that there are some folks who are going to gang bang anyway, in spite of, but really the possibilities of all of this violence that's going on, perhaps if we might be able to put people to work.
Yeah,
you see that there's a strong possibility that, you know, if you got a job to go to at 6 o'clock in the morning, come home at 5 o'clock, you got very little time to do any gang banging, and at the same time, at the end of that week, you know that you've got an income.
Absolutely.
You see, and I think that it's cost effective in a real sense for us to provide jobs to some of these young people, and I think that will certainly diminish. That's only my point of view from looking at it from the
not only an income, but a safe income.
Safe income, because that's what they're after. You know, when you talk about gang banging and et cetera, eventually it comes down to what can you get out of it? You know, you don't want to bribe somebody without getting something out of it.
Well, you know, when you, Dr. Haney, when you talk about economics, you know, we're getting into a political thing now, because politically, it is not politically correct that everyone shall work. If that was politically correct, then everybody would have jobs.
Okay, well, I tell you what, we'll talk about that. And of course, let us take this second commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.